Hey, mamas, and welcome to the podcast. We're so excited to have today's guest with us. She's the breakout star of our newest reality TV obsession, The Valley. She's a Miss USA, and she really is that stunning inside and out. She's a fellow podcaster, a pageant coach, a fertility advocate, and a mama of three. Please welcome to the podcast, Nia Sanchez Booko.
Hi,
Woo!
thank you for having me.
I'm so glad you're with us. I feel
Me
like so
too.
many people are invested in you,
Oh,
and I think they're gonna love everything that you have to say. We love The Valley. Hallie just, like,
thank
binged
you.
it in a couple of days, and
Obsessed.
it's so, so,
Thanks for
so
watching.
good.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I
it's
Thanks
love
for
fun.
entertaining us. It's
Yes,
seriously,
amazing.
seriously.
happily.
I feel like it really does show how incredible you are as a mom, and it feels like you and Daniel are such an amazing team, which we don't always see on reality TV. And so I kind of want to go to the beginning.
Yeah.
As a couple, what made you say yes to the show? And were you guys like hesitant at all to sign on?
Yes, we were hesitant. The reality TV world, we were like,
It's
it was kind of
scary.
one of those things where we're really good friends with like Jax and Brittany and the whole crew, Chris and Luke, Michelle, Jesse. Like we love all of them and they're our friends. So that was a side pulling us towards yes. Brittany kept telling us like we just get to hang out and film and like have all this time together during the summer. Isn't that great? And we're like, yes, it's great, but it's reality TV. We know there's drama and I'm a non-drama person in my like, life outside of this world. So we were very hesitant. I do remember so many days of saying, "Are we really doing this? Is this happening? Are are we really doing this? How long until we start filming?" And we just kind of said, "You know what? We're going to go for it. We're going to be ourselves. We're going to have fun." And at the end of the day, if it's great, it's great. And if not, we don't have to do another season. We can just say thanks, but no thanks. So we just kind of went into it like, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. And you guys come out glowing. I feel like I see all these memes like, "We must protect this couple. This couple's too nice for Bravo."
It's so funny. I have had a lot of people comment and say, "We love you guys, but like run before it affects your marriage," which is very sweet. But we are very much a team, like you said. We approach everything as a team. And as any mama out there knows, the early years, the early months of parenting are very hard. So we keep trying to tell ourselves, like, Team Booko, we can do this. It doesn't always happen. We get at each other, we kind of get at each other's necks every once in a while, but our goal is to always come back to like, Team Booko, we can do it together.
Yeah,
Oh, I
I
love
love that.
that.
Yeah.
How did you explain the cameras to Asher? Did he get it?
He he just I don't think it even phased him. He was just barely a year and a half, and he started to learn, like, the production team's names. So, when, like, for example, Hope was one of the producers, and every time Hope would come in because she came like, one of the people that came to our home most often, he'd be like, Hope's here. Hope," and he'd just be so excited. So, everybody became a friend to him, and he was excited to show everybody his toys. And there would even be times that we were filming and we're in the middle of a conversation. Asher's like running up to someone, like giving them a toy, a truck in their hand, and they're like, "I have a camera."
Fourth wall, fourth wall.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah. But he loved it, and he is just like kind of just more people in the house to have fun with for him.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
that's so sweet.
So cute.
So I could so relate to your postpartum struggles and feelings and everything that you said. I think I said to Jason at one point or another.
Mhm.
I actually cried watching you talk about it because I
Mm.
felt it so much.
Yeah.
What has it been like to watch back those conversations with Daniel?
It's even though we are more than 6 months out, it still feels so fresh. Like, I cried watching it back because it really was truly not that long ago. Our girls are not even a year old. But it just made me emotional to watch it back. On the flip side of that, I have received so many messages and sweet connections with women all across the country and the world sharing with me that what I shared helped give them words to what they're feeling, and that like I cry reading messages because it just touches my heart. And in the moment when I'm explaining everything, I feel like I'm not giving it the right words. It's like, how do you really put words to what we're
Right.
experiencing? But the words that I did have seemed to help other people. So that definitely like has warmed my heart.
Yeah.
I just want to say, as someone who experienced postpartum anxiety,
Hmm.
that is exactly how I felt listening to it. You were saying it was isolating, and I was like, it is isolating. And the way you described it is kind of like a dance between the blessing and the darkness. Like you
Hmm.
felt both things at one time. I was like,
Yeah.
that's exactly what it is. Cause it's these babies are so beautiful and wonderful, but you feel like there's like a guilt that comes with how you're feeling
Yeah.
depressed.
Yeah.
Katie and I
Makes
have
me
both
want to cry right
experienced.
now because it's so honest and on the money, and you feel like a disconnect from who you are. Yeah,
Yeah.
I f- I'm so grateful that you use the platform to talk about that.
Thank you. It was
How
definitely hard to be that like raw and vulnerable, but before filming, that's what we said. And I was still pregnant when we said, okay, we're going to film. So we said, whatever comes with that season of life, we're going to do our best to just show it like in real time because it's something that we know other people all across the country and the world are also going through. So someone out there is going to hopefully relate to us and get something from it. So we just wanted to just be as real as possible.
Yeah. How
Yeah.
are you doing today?
I'm doing so much better, although I do. So when we were recording, I did not have a therapist. I now have an incredible therapist, and she was helping me understand that I'm in kind of like a new season of postpartum hormones because I'm starting to slowly wean. And I was trying to tell her, I was like, I'm not weaning yet. Like I still nurse them, but she's like, yeah, but they're on solids and your body is not being used to sustain them fully, which is kind of like a first phase of weaning. So she's like, on top of like, there's the hormonal things that you're experiencing. I was telling her, I feel scattered. Like, I don't feel grounded. I don't feel like as solidly in myself as I normally do. And she said, that's completely normal. So just even normalizing what I'm experiencing helps. And then and she also explained to me that I never fully experienced the postpartum weaning hormones because I got pregnant when Asher was 10 months old. So then my body had those pregnancy hormones and it didn't really have a full drop. And it is a big drop. So she's kind of like helped me understand what I'm experiencing. And then beyond that, one more thing for any of your listeners that I'm also learning is beyond the hormones, there's that kind of like subconscious thing that our body is telling our brains of the baby season is coming to an end and they're getting bigger and they're going into a new season of toddlerhood. So it's almost like a little bit of a loss and like a closure because you're
Oh,
almost like you're like almost mourning the fact that they're not babies anymore and they're going to be walking and they're going to be toddlers. So it's like almost like a very small like subconscious thing that your body is telling your head like, hey, we're moving into a new season. And so I'm still dealing with a lot, but it's not what it was, which was very heavy then.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. That's so interesting. I just learned something too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and
It's
it makes
our
sense.
bodies are
Yeah.
roller
Yeah.
coasters.
Have you seen that whole study that was done with how mothers actually carry our children's cells sometimes for the rest of our lives?
Yeah.
Like we're physically, chemically connected to these babies. So that makes so much sense because I actually had the wean my anxiety came in delayed. It was like 8 months when I started to wean off.
Yeah. Mhm.
So that really is so interesting.
Yeah.
And I love that you are, speaking directly to our listeners. We like to say that motherhood is a sisterhood, and the
Yes.
best thing that we can do for each other is to share our honest experiences. So now that you feel like you've come through to a different side, you come through that one part of the season,
Yeah.
is there any other advice that you would give to anyone who's in the thick of it right now?
Oh, you're not alone is just the first thing that really helped me. And one of the other producers, there was a producer that was a mom, and she was 8 months postpartum when we started filming. And she really helped me. And the thing that she said to me was, this is not your new normal. And I needed to hear that so badly because there were times where I was in the thick of it. And I really truly had the thoughts of like, do I just have to learn to live like this? Will I feel like this forever? I didn't feel like I would ever get out of it. I didn't see the light at the end of the tunnel. And her telling me, like, this is not your new normal. You will get out of it. It will come to an end. Just that, like, really, really helped me. So holding on to that little hope, I like to say, like, a glimmer It's like a
Yeah.
glimmer of hope. Hold on to it because it will get better, even if it doesn't feel like it.
And so important to remember that at all seasons in our life, right? Like there's
Mhm.
always a light at the end of
Yes.
the tunnel. We have to remember that as humans and
Yeah.
especially as women. Going from 1 to 3, I imagine was such a big transition. How would you kind of describe it? And what was the key for you and Daniel?
Oh, how do you even describe that? I don't know if there's a descriptive way to describe it. It was wild, but we did everything we could to prepare and we had a lot of support. I knew even with one kid, I would want support. So we really called in the support this second time around with now 3 children. So we had, I would say, the first 2.5 months of family coming in to support us and to visit us and be with us for a week. So it was everyone from like a sister-in-law to my mom did a lot of chunks of time, my dad and his wife and Daniel's parents. So we had a lot of support, which was
That's so nice.
probably the only way that we survived. But one thing, whether it's like 1 to 3 or even 1 to 2, and even for you, it's something that I was surprised by was that it actually for us was a smooth, slow transition instead of a scary, oh my gosh, now I don't have any time for my toddler kind of thing, which that was my biggest fear is I didn't want Asher to feel unloved or like we didn't have time for him. But babies sleep a lot. Maybe I forgot that, but like babies will take an hour nap or even a 45-minute nap. And there's this study out there, and I was told this by my therapist recently, that it's at least important to get a 10-minute time with your child that's unobstructed, no phones, like no distractions. And if you can do that, you're truly filling their love cup. So I can do 10 minutes. I can find some time in my day, even while I'm nursing and like taking care of twins and healing. The first 2 weeks, I just stayed in the bedroom and I was like, he'll figure it out. We have family here. He's fine. But after that, I could take 10 minutes of time where nobody else is around and I just play with him. And so if anybody out there is transitioning from one to more, it actually can be a really beautiful slow transition if your husband or someone can watch the babies or just listen to them on the monitor while you have even 10 minutes a day with your toddler. It's totally doable.
Yeah. I feel like I
I
needed
needed
to hear
that.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
definitely
both you
needed to hear
guys.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my heart is like breaking. I'm 3 weeks out and I'm like taking Dylan on all these dates and
Yeah.
cut to me like buying an indoor bounce house for her because I'm like, I need her to feel spoiled or something. Like, I don't.
Yeah.
So thank you for that. I
There's
needed to hear.
time. There is
Yeah.
time in the day, and like babies sleep, and we should be taking care of ourselves and sleeping as much as we can when they sleep, but also we can make a 10-minute window. Like
10
anybody can do that.
minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
digestible.
Mhm.
Um, I love how honest you are. Like you getting up from the table on the show because your boobs are leaking, or you talking about the details of conserving or conceiving your first baby. I'm like, you are my person because on this podcast, I've talked about peeing my pants. I've
Yeah.
talked about sex with my husband. I've talked about, my weak pelvic floor, like all the things. And you joke about your kiddos watching the show back one day. Is
Mhm.
there anything so far that you would take back or that you regret saying or that you're worried about them hearing? Or are you like,
Well, there's episode 8, I think, is coming out tonight. And by the time your, listeners here, it'll be a few days have already been out.
Yes.
But yeah, there's a good amount of sex life conversations. And I'm like, maybe my son will never see this. Hopefully not. But also, I think when we were filming, I also, because you have to be in the moment, you have to be real. And that's what we did. Normal conversations like we would have with our friends. We would talk about our sex life because you're kind of wanting to get like people's opinions or, like hey, is
yeah,
this normal? Like all those things happen. But this most recent episode, we are talking again about our sex life. And I'm like, oh my gosh, we called my husband's parents and we said, don't watch this episode.
Ah! It's it's actually I feel like I more so relate it's a sign of a healthy marriage. I
Yeah,
felt like,
right.
in a recent episode you talked about like you can't go even like a few days really, but
Yeah.
I think that's a good sign of a healthy marriage is that you guys are in the bedroom and there's stuff
Right?
happening. And I was
We're
more so
happy.
worried for like Brittany and Jax. I was like, dang.
And with
Yeah.
three
Over
kids,
yeah.
like we should all be applauding you. And they'll understand when they're older and they're married.
Right.
They'll be like, Mom and Dad had it going on, you
Yeah.
know?
They were
Yeah.
happy. They were keeping
Yeah.
their marriage going.
Right. Good for you guys. I applaud you.
Thanks.
Um, okay, I do have a question because I've seen this online so
Mhm.
much. A lot of the Vanderpump cast apparently wants to transition to the Valley.
Mhm.
How do you guys feel about that? Are we even getting a season 2? I mean, I imagine we are getting a season 2. It has to
Yeah.
be like the best show
I hope
ever.
so.
Yeah.
No, I mean, come on over. I love Sheena and Lala, and like I feel like those two would be perfect. Like we were at a jazz night with Janet and Jason. They like in LA, they do like outdoor jazz at LACMA, this museum. It's so beautiful at sunset. And Brock was there. Sheena was out of town, but Brock was there with Summer. And it's just like we're all friends. So, and now they moved to the Valley. So I'm like, come on over. Although I love Lala. She's my girl. Like I think I love a woman with like some spice. Like I think I don't have a lot of spice like that, but I love it in other people.
Yeah.
I just would never want to be on the receiving end of it. So I'm like, as long as we stay like besties, like I mean not besties, like I love her, we're not besties. But yeah, as
Like
long as we stay friends, I'm happy. But like I don't want the spice coming at me.
That's totally fair. Also, I feel like it seems like a natural transition. I mean, they're in the valley, they have
Mhm.
kiddos, they're parents, and so yeah, why not the more the merrier?
Right. And I also heard, well, it's all over social media that they're pausing when they're going to pick up cameras. It might be later. And I'm like, oh,
I
maybe. I
know.
don't know.
I
I
thought that
literally
was
have not
part of
heard
it.
anything, but that would be great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
When you look at your castmates and even like some of the Vanderpump cast members who have kids, uh, is there anything that stands out to you? Like if you were to give each of the moms their flowers, like if you had a moment to just say like, this is what I love about how like how Brittany moms,
Yeah.
what would you say about your cast members?
Oh my gosh, I love this question. I've never been asked that in that way. Okay, so Brittany, she like loves with her whole heart. Like I feel like her whole body, it's her entire being like loves Cruz, and she's just the sweetest, best mama. She's so attentive to him. I love that. Um, Michelle and I actually parent very similarly, and she's in a stage where Isabella is like 2 years older than Asher. So she's like, oh, yeah, I was exactly like that when Isabella was that little. Like, we do very minimal screen time and I feed like super clean food to Asher. And that's just like the way that I go about it because I can. Like, I'm at home all the time. I can make the food. Or
Yeah.
actually, my mom makes a lot of the food and puts it
Yeah.
in the freezer. If we're keeping it 100, my mom meal preps for us.
We love
But
a mama who helps.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So, and Michelle's like, "Oh yeah, I did the same." So I love that we have like a very similar outlook. And then Sheena, she's just the sweetest with Summer. Like it's so sweet to see them together. And I love Lala's like she's so like sweet and fun with Ocean, but she also talks to her like she's like a little grown up in like the cutest way. Like, come on over here. Like she's just I love her energy with her daughter. I feel like her daughter has a similar energy in a fun way. I think Lala even said it on her most recent podcast, maybe it was a few weeks ago now, but we were all doing a girls' night and Ocean and Cruz were playing and Cruz knocked down like a little tower that she was making and she was getting upset about it. And Lala was like, it's okay, like it's fine, like you that's what happens. And then she didn't say anything else, but Ocean went like this and she was like, I'm watching you. And then I'm like, oh, you get that from Lala. Like it's the cutest thing ever. So I
Apple
love
didn't
that
fall
she's
far.
yeah, exactly. They're like so similar. So it's just the cutest thing ever. But I love all the mamas in our groups and the someday mamas. Like, Kristen wants to be a mom so bad. And I know she
Yeah.
will be at some point. And it's just like we have a good yes, there's drama, but I do love all the girls in the group. I'm
Yeah.
grateful to be on the outside of the drama. Like I'm not in the mix of it, so I can love everybody separately, but I also hate to see my friends fighting.
Yeah.
You bring up a really good point. It is hard to see so many couples struggling
Mhm.
on the show and we kind of talked about this earlier, but like, yeah, reality TV is so often hard on relationships and marriages. And you and Daniel seem so solid. You're celebrating 10 years of marriage next year, right?
Yeah, next year is 10 years
Yeah.
of marriage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How has your marriage, I guess, changed the most since having kids, if at all? And are
Oh,
you
yeah.
guys ever worried about the reality TV curse? I don't feel like you need to be worried about that.
I'm not worried about the reality TV curse. But yeah, our marriage has definitely changed. We used to joke before we had kids, like I'm a napper. I love a good nap. So like it'd be 2 p.m. and we'd take a nap on the couch together and we would snuggle and be like, oh, it won't be like this forever. And it's not. Like we trade off napping. Like you have the kids, I need an hour. Watch them, please. And he's like, okay, I got you. Go get your nap. And then we like trade off. And he's like, I'm tired now. Can I nap? I'm like, okay. So like it's just things are so different. And I would say because, I feel like it looks really like perfect with people, oh, protect them at all costs, all of that. But like we, especially now that we have three, there's so many moments of tension and it's the comparison game that we swore we would not do next
Mm.
time around. Like when we did it with Asher and then we like got out of it. And we're still kind of in it with the twins of I'm more tired. No, I'm more tired. Well, I changed 2 poopy diapers. Can't you change this poopy diaper? Like, and that it I know it gets under both of our skin and we both don't want to do it, but we both keep doing it. Like, well, I woke up at 5:30. Well, I woke up at 4:30 yesterday. Like, we go
Right.
back and forth. So I just like, people that watch and like, oh, you guys are so great. I'm like, yes, we are because we have a like super strong foundation, but we go at each other too, just like anybody else. And then we just try to come back to a good place after that. Whereas like the other couples on the show, when they would have hard times, I didn't realize that they weren't like coming back to a good place after the hard time,
Mm. And isn't that the secret to marriage, right? It's like having that good foundation and always coming back. And
Yeah.
it's so funny you say that because Jason and I do that too. Recently,
Mhm.
the whole household was sick, and we played this game of like who's feeling
More
worse.
sick.
Not
Yeah.
intentionally. It's just
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
oh well, I have this fever. Oh well, I'm went through 20 tissues, and
Yeah.
okay, well you have to change her, or should we put her down for another nap? Or
Yeah.
yeah, it's just like a balancing act and a
Yeah.
juggling act. And I think in marriage, though, there's never a doubt in my mind that we're going to get past it and like move on. And
Yeah.
that I think is like the most important thing. So I'm so glad you shared that because I
Yeah.
do think we look at you and we're like, oh my God, they're the perfect couple. They're goals. And
Yeah.
no couple is 100%
Oh no.
perfect 100% of the time.
I can't wait till we're getting better literally in the last week of doing less comparison game. And so I hope we can stay consistent with it because it gets really annoying after a while. I'm like, I don't want to hear that you still feel sick. It's been 3 weeks. Like
Right.
we're parents. We got to get it together. Like we got to figure this out. And then I feel bad for saying that, and it's just like we're getting past it. Literally this week, we're starting to get into a better routine. The girls are like getting better with their wake ups. It was a solid 4:30 to 5:30 window every single day. We had 5:50 today. And I'm like, okay,
It's
we're
a
getting
win.
closer to 6. Like at least get me to the 6 o'clock hour. So we're working
Yeah.
on it. We're getting there.
I've never heard anybody talk about that before, like out loud, but it's so true. And I feel like right now I have the trump card because I'm so pregnant. So
Oh
I
yeah.
win every time. He's like, oh man, I'm so tired. And I'm like, oh, did you grow lungs and fingers today? Because I did. So I don't
I'm
want
a
to hear
trump
it.
card girl. I do that all the time. Even now,
Yeah.
I'm like, I grew them. You
Yep.
can take them to go get lunch. Like,
Yes.
Yep.
Like we forever get to win.
yeah.
It is interesting. Katie and I talk so much about when you become a mom, one of the wildest things is just this kind of like a little bit of a loss of identity or like rediscovering yourself or relearning yourself.
Mhm.
What has that experience been like for you since becoming a
Ooh,
mom?
I'm still in it. I'm still
Yeah.
in the middle of the experience. And even more recently, as like the show is airing and life is getting even busier than it already was, I'm still trying to navigate that. Today, for example, I had like a meeting in the morning at 8 a.m. Well, I was late, so 8:20. And then I was taking my son to nature class, and then I coach my pageant clients, and we're doing this call. And I'm like, I miss my kids. But so I'm still figuring out the whole juggle of like finding your identity. But I do think for us as moms, it's really important to do things that fill us up and to fill our own cup so that we can,
Mm.
when we are with our family, we can pour from a full cup. But I'm still figuring it out. Like I trained in jujitsu a lot and I miss it so much. So I'm like, hopefully this week getting back into jujitsu, but it's like with what time? So
Yeah.
it's just, I'm still figuring it out, but I do really try to make it a priority to do things that fill my cup and things that I love to do so that that can be an example for my kids and they can see like it's important to follow your passions and your dreams, but also so that I can be like happier from like a really deep place because I'm doing things that bring me joy outside of my family. And I think that's important. I don't think that's selfish. I really think it's important to fill yourself up so you can fill your kids up.
Yeah. That's why we started this podcast. We were like, we need something that like also sparks joy for us
Yes.
out and yeah. So I feel like finding little things that like make you feel more like you,
Yeah.
so important. Okay, last question because I know your time is so precious.
Yeah.
But we like to ask everyone, what's something that's been on your heart or in your mind as a mom lately? Like, how is your heart? And has there anything, I don't know, is there anything tugging at the heartstrings lately?
Oh, you might have to like cut my long pause.
That's
No, no
okay.
worries.
It's a
Yeah.
good question. I'm like, what do I say? I think just the season we're in right now with our 2-year-old and our 10-month-old twins, something that's really been on my heart lately is individual time with my little ones. And I've been really trying to be intentional with that. I do it a lot with my son because he's at the age where we can have conversations and we can, go to the park and run around. And it's a little bit harder with the girls because they're still pretty small. But even with them, I'm trying to be really intentional, even these early months and years that we do individual things together. So I might just take one baby for a walk and kind of be like talking with her. Or if I'm running an errand, I'll take one baby with me and leave the other one with Daniel, and then I'll switch out next time. But I really value individual time with our children, and I want to continue that as they grow up. And both Daniel and I individually taking each of our kids to do something special so they get that quality time. Because when we're at home as a family, it's group time. Like we're always all hanging out. So it's been on my heart and something I've been thinking about lately to continue the individual time with each of our kids.
Yeah, I love that. Even the little walks, I feel like I try to take Kaya on a walk, just like me and
Mhm.
her every single day. Um,
Yeah.
and I love that time with her. I'm like, look at the flowers, look at the
Yeah.
trees, and just kind of like explain, what outside is to her because they
Totally.
don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so much fun how much they're learning at this age. Everything is new.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
absolutely. Well, you are wonderful. I'm so grateful for your time and we love the
Yeah.
show. We'll be tuning
Love.
in every single week and we hope you guys get a season 2. There's not a doubt in my mind that that's happening.
Yeah.
Thank you. And thanks for watching. I appreciate it.
Oh
And
my
if you
gosh.
want to just tell our viewers where to listen to your podcast.
Yes. So Hold My Crown, because I'm a former Miss USA, Hold My Crown.
Love.
Yay is the name of my podcast. You can find that anywhere you listen to your favorite podcast. And then on social media, it's holdmycrown.podcast. And my social media is Real Nia Sanchez.
Yay. Wonderful. Well, thank you so, 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 so much. You're just,
Yay.
you're
An
lovely.
angel.
Thanks for
Yeah.
Yeah.
having me, you guys. I appreciate it.